Hi, it's part 3 of why counting calories to lose weight isn't a good idea. In part 1 I talk about how the body is a dynamic living organism and should be treated as such, not a combustion engine, and whose needs change hour to hour, day to day. And that calorie restriction ignores this important fact, so that people often become malnourished, and it's not a happy place to be. People tend to be pretty miserable. In part 2, I also talk about malnourishment factor, because the quality of the foods or displacement foods people tend to eat are based on how many calories they contain and not on the nutrient quality of the food. So the result is your body's crying out for more nutrition and you end up tired, fatigued, with emotional highs and lows, etc. And also it's not a happy experience. So in part 3, I want to talk about the human fat cell and how it can't be fooled by calorie restriction, especially the female fat cell, because more female tends to adopt this approach to weight loss, and by restricting calories it's inevitable that you'll end up carrying more body fat than when you started. And this has clearly been shown through the many studies carried out on calorie restriction and body composition. Okay, so what does the body do in times of famine? It stores fat, and it's the same for calorie restriction. It's a famine situation for the body. And as a result, the body produces more of the fat-storing enzymes called lipogenic enzymes. You increase your ability to store fat, and it's a defense mechanism against starvation. If you restrict calories at the expense of nutrition, like most people do, this is what you get. More fat-producing enzymes, and guess what? The women have 3 times more the amount of fat-storing enzymes than men, so it's much easier for women to put on excess fat, and that's what the studies clearly show. And these are deep physiological mechanisms there to protect us in times of famine, and you can't override these systems by simply restricting calories. Remember, women have to be able to sustain pregnancy. They have to support life, so it's vital they maintain healthy fat stores to provide nutrition for themselves and the baby. Okay, so I hope you can see how counterproductive calorie counting is, and on so many levels. The results always tend to be the same, is that you put on more weight long term and tend to feel pretty lousy in the process. You should also be aware that this type of approach, done repeatedly, as many people do, has serious long-term impact on health and is closely associated with osteoporosis, other diseases, and that's why the holistic approach to weight loss is fundamental to the process of putting an end to weight problems for good and experiencing great health at the same time. Thanks for listening.